How you doing, everybody? It's Tuesday the 26th of January 2010. It's in the middle of the afternoon, and I just wanted to touch on something that somebody made an inquiry about. They emailed me about this about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I really didn't get a chance. I haven't had a chance to do anything about it. And what it was about our tribunals and how much it cost the state, how much did it cost the people, because in terms of money we represent the interests of the state. So I did a bit of work over the weekend, small amount of work on it, and I had to do some work yesterday again because I was stunned. I couldn't believe when I first delved into it what I was seeing. And what I've done is, so you can understand it all, because it's complex enough, I've put a link up to 2 articles, and the 2 articles basically are quite detailed articles from the Independent, the Irish Independent, and they relate to figures that were supplied by the Houses of Parliament, the Oireachtas, to queries that were put up by various people. And then what happened was economists within the Independent group, analysed them and made the proper deductions out of them. So it gives you a very, very good insight into them, okay? And what's extraordinary is you could never come up with the figures in a million years. I had it in my mind that these things at the outside had cost about 150, 200 million at the very most, because they all started essentially in 1984 with the Beef Tribunal. I'll go into that in a second. But the figure, imagine the total figure is 1 billion euros is what the conservative estimate is. That's 1,000 million euros. And the vast bulk of that is going to go to one group of people, and then a subsection or an adjunct of those people. All right, and they are lawyers and judges. That's just going to earn the vast bulk from those tribunals. All right, and when you think about it, like it's just unbelievable. The number of millionaire lawyers that must have come out of those tribunals must be it must be serious. Even imagine, even in 1994, the first one, that was only the first one, and it was a small tribunal in terms of cost. It cost 26 million pounds, Irish pounds. I think there was one or two of them one or two of the lawyers ended up as you can read about it in the article. One or two of the lawyers ended up as millionaires. So they earned then, I don't know what they earn now, but they earned then, when they worked on a daily basis for the tribunal, when they were actually in the tribunal, the lawyers, the senior counsels, got £2,500 per day. And when they weren't working actively, when they were working for the tribunal but not in the actual tribunal itself, they got 60% of that, half to 60% of that. So unbelievable stuff. Anyway, these tribunals normally take a format. They take a fixed format, and the format is, we really should have a trial, but we can't have a trial because a trial would send their own people to jail and the shit might hit the fan. So we can't have a trial. Above all, we can't have a trial. So we're going to have a tribunal, and everybody's conscience is solved by the tribunal. The lawyers make a fortune. The judges have a whoopee day. It's lovely and relaxed format. They can go in and relax at their leisure. They don't have different sets of barristers barking at them every 2 minutes. They are in total control of the whole thing. They're in total control of the whole thing. And generally speaking, what happens is, somewhere along the line, either before it or during it, a patsy is set up, and the patsy or patsies go to prison. And then everybody's conscience, as I say, is solved, and everybody thinks, somebody went to prison over that, and isn't that great? Okay, but I quote an example. Just very. We had the first tribunal. The first tribunal was the Beef Tribunal, and basically what happened was, I'll try and describe it very, very quickly. It involved Goodman International. Goodman International, private company owned. Are you listening to me? Not a public company, a private company owned by Larry Goodman, Castleballingham, County Louth. And what was happening with Goodman International was it was involved in one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated against the EU. Alright? and the European Union. And what was going on was they were buying beef. Goodman International were buying beef. There was an intervention at cents on the euro. Let's take the euros, okay? Cents on the euro. And they were selling it for euros. And how they were able to do that was very, very simple. They were buying it out of intervention. So it was frozen beef they were buying, okay? And they had this little system set up. They took it on board a ship. I believe the name of the ship was the Kittler, okay? And what happened was they had all these boning experts and butcher type lads working on this beef for days on end. And what they did was they took the stamps all off the beef, got the stamps all off and put new stamps on and got new sets of documents and sold it as brand new beef. Okay? So they're selling it all over the world, in particular to Libya, as brand new beef. Whereas in reality it had been an intervention for 14 years and 5 years and 6 years and you name it. Okay? So we're buying it for, as I say, for cents on the euro and selling it for euros. Nice one if you can get it. So anyway, they had a major inquiry. Now, the beneficial owner of Goodman International was none other than Larry Goodman. But Larry Goodman didn't go to prison. No. Some inspector down in the arsehole of Kerry, he went to prison. I don't know how long he did, 6 months or 9 months, whatever, it doesn't matter. And he was the sacrificial lamb, the patsy, and he was the offering, and that was it, and it was all over. So the lawyers had made a fortune, the judges had done very, very well, thank you, out of it. The public's conscience was solved, and Mr. Goodman, I know nothing, he just continued on his merry way. And by the way, on top of that then, of course, Charles J. Haughey and Albert Reynolds and all those other boys, they did very well out of it too. Oh, don't forget that. In particular, Charles J. Haughey. He did very well out of it. So that was the whole story. And that was that one. So that only cost 26 million. And then everybody started to wise up. This was a massive gravy train. And we had the whole series of them, and we've had about 12 or 14 of them up until now, and in those articles it tells you how much money's been made and all the rest of it and how much each of them cost. Some of them are extraordinary, some of them just truly extraordinary. Some of them were cried like voices in the wilderness for somebody to be brought to justice and be sent justice, my arse. They had one where contaminated blood supplies were given to haemophiliacs by the state on an ongoing basis. Not properly tested. These are all by leading senior civil servants within our health service. Not properly tested. People were given HIV positive, ended up in HIV positive, died from AIDS, and other ones got hepatitis as a direct result of this contaminated blood. Nothing was done about it. Nobody went to jail, nothing. It's a famous one. And the other famous one was a mini investigation into the goings on of Michael Neary, Dr. Michael Neary. And 3 of his compatriots, a professor Prenderville and 2 other doctors, high doctors, came up to where he was. His famous trick was he took 185 women, and a large number of these women needed nothing done to them, but he'd zip them open and throw their ovaries in a bin. That was his famous trick, Michael Neary. And he was doing that for, I think, ongoing for about 9 years before anybody said anything to him. See, as I said, these good and mighty fellas, they live in a rarefied world. You can't say anything to these fellas. And when something does happen, they have a little mini tribunal, like in his case, a little mini tribunal, and everybody just got their wrists slapped. Three of his contemporaries were guilty of serious criminality. Nothing happened to them. Michael Neary is still going around today. He can't practice as a doctor, but he gets this massive state pension. And when he was laid off, he got a massive state intervention. So he doesn't care. He doesn't give a monkeys. So that's the world we live in. It's a world of tribunals that has cost so far 1,000 million euros. Us, as the Irish citizenry, have paid that. And we've given that the vast bulk of that to lawyers and judges.